Hey everybody, it's Sunday and it's Zeb. Yeah, I decided to offer to Jimmy that I would cover the Sunday slot, even though there may be precious few of you watching this because we're doing a lot of church on Sundays. But I figured why break the continuity, and we might as well do a brief commentary on Sunday. So it's part of the record, the ongoing record of Beach Church. So today we're going to be talking about Proverbs 7 to 9. Proverbs, if you think of Proverbs, what do you think of? Little couplets of lines, be like this, don't be like that, that kind of thing. Well, that's how it is from 10 all the way to the end. But the first 9 are short stories, which kind of embody and encapsulate the messages that Solomon shares later. So it's 7 to 9 is the grand finale of the book's opening section. These chapters use long, dramatic poems to personify 2 competing forces pulling at the human heart: Lady Wisdom and Lady Folly. More on Lady Wisdom later. So this section serves as a final, urgent warning to the reader to choose their lifelong companion before entering the real world. Chapter 7, The Trap of Temptation. A father watches a naive young man walk down a dark street. Uh-oh. And adulterous... Isn't it funny how kids... It's like the first word that they learn to use, actually. Uh-oh. An adulterous woman seduces him with smooth talk, flattering words, and expensive perfumes. That wouldn't have done it for me, but I suppose it kind of covers up the evil intent or the coming attack when you've got all sorts of beautiful perfume. I'll just take flowers. Depends. Some of them I'm allergic to. You are too. Anyway, before entering... Urgent warning to the reader to choose their lifelong companion before entering the real world. Think about it. That's what it's saying. Chapter 7, The Trap of Temptation. A father watches a naive young man walk down a dark street. An adulterous woman seduces him with smooth talk, flattering words, and expensive perfumes. I guess we read this already. He follows her blindly, unaware that her house is a direct path to the grave. Well, that's kind of a horror story. Chapter 8, The Greatness of Wisdom. The scene shifts dramatically to a public square. Lady Wisdom stands on the highest hills and at the city gates, shouting to everyone. She reveals her royal authority, her absolute truth, and her role as God's firstborn companion in creating the universe. More on that later. Chapter 9, The 2 Banquets. The section ends with a direct competition. Both Lady Wisdom and Woman Folly, I hope I said that right earlier, build houses and prepare a feast. Both invite the simple to enter. Wisdom offers meat, mixed wine, mullet, maybe, and life. Folly offers stolen water, secret bread, and death. Go for curtain number 1. Literary and practical commentary here. These chapters use vivid imagery to teach timeless psychological and spiritual truths about human desire. The architecture of choice. Chapter 9 sets up a parallel structure. Both women sit in the high places of the city. Both call out the same phrase: "Whoever is simple, let him turn in here." And if you don't know, that's a trap. Anyway, the author shows that temptation and truth often use the same marketing tactics, forcing the individual to look past the invitation to the actual menu. Kind of like, when you have a bakery and they have like bakery perfume and they spray it all outside in front of the bakery, or a delicatessen and they have like this perfume that smells like meat. I think Lady Gaga wore it once. It's to attract people unwittingly. The Psychology of Seduction. Chapter 7 masterfully deconstructs how people fall into ruin. It begins with curiosity. I'm just passing by. Walking by her corner, moves to secrecy in the twilight, listens to flattery, "I will come out to look for you," and ends with immediate gratification. The youth thinks he's getting a prize, but he's actually an animal walking into a trap. You know that motel that's on 15th Street, between the church and, or is it, I don't know, one of those streets. Anyway, it's a motel there, and You can walk that way, east and west, to get to the church, to get to the boardwalk. And one time I walked by, and just to remind me that it's a very worldly area, there was a prostitute in the balcony shouting out to some dude. It made me feel I was in a red light district or something, you know. All right, wisdom as I digress. Wisdom as an eternal principle. Chapter 8 elevates wisdom from mere good advice to a cosmic force. By stating that wisdom was present before creation, the author argues that the universe has a built-in moral order. Sorry if you're a believer in evolution, but if there is any such thing as evolution, it follows this wisdom that God baked into the universe before everything. Living foolishly is not just breaking a rule, it is trying to fight against gravity and the very fabric of reality. The cost of the meal, which of course here in Virginia would have an extra tax or 3. Wisdom requires preparation. She kills her beasts, mixes her wine, sets her table. Folly offers instant lazy gratification. Her water is stolen and her bread is eaten in secret. The commentary here is clear. Things that are deeply rewarding require effort and discipline, while destructive habits offer cheap, immediate pleasure. I researched, so that was chapter 7 through 9. Now I just wanted to say something. I researched why Solomon refers to the reader throughout as my son, and says his words are worth more than riches. And I found out in ancient Israel and Egypt, royal scribes and teachers were viewed as spiritual fathers to their students. Kind of like Karate Man. Or karate, Pat Morita and Ralph Macchia, or whatever his name is, and it was Karate Kid. In ancient, I don't know, he had some kind of a name of respect for Pat Morita's character. In ancient Israel, a teacher addressing a classroom or an apprentice would naturally say, "My son," to establish a relationship of trust and authority. Works for me. The royal context. Solomon was a king training the next generation of leaders. Did you know that? That's the original audience of Proverbs. The next generation of leaders under King Solomon. The advice in Proverbs was meant to prepare young nobles for leadership, diplomacy, and governance. Now, I guess it's kind of unknown whether at the time that King Solomon was sharing these eternal nuggets of wisdom, whether he was following them himself, but certainly later he didn't. Personal affection, the term "my son," creates an intimate, caring tone. It shifts the book from a list of cold, rigid laws into a warm, protective conversation between an experienced elder and a young person facing the dangers of the world. Why wisdom is worth more than gold. When Solomon claims his words are better than silver or gold, Proverbs 8:11, he is not boasting about his own intelligence. He is describing the nature of wisdom itself. He does point to the source. Solomon repeatedly attributes all wisdom to God. So if it's like my wisdom, but repeatedly he says all wisdom comes from God. The core thesis of the entire book of Proverbs is in 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. You've heard that before in the Psalms and elsewhere. He repeats this in Proverbs 9:10. By starting here, Solomon makes it clear that any wisdom that he possesses is a gift from God, not his own invention. Character versus cash. Solomon contrasts wisdom with wealth because money cannot buy a good life. Gold can buy a house, but not a peaceful home. Silver can buy power, but not protection from bad decisions or a ruined reputation. Wisdom is more valuable because it protects a person's soul, character, and future. So wisdom is more valuable than crypto, even. Personified wisdom. In chapters 8 and 9, the claims of grandeur are actually spoken by Lady Wisdom. She speaks. A poetic personification of God's own creative intellect. When the text says, "My fruit is better than gold," Proverbs 8:19, it is wisdom herself speaking to humanity, reminding them that aligning with God's design for the universe matters more than material wealth. It's interesting. A friend of mine, a couple of weeks ago, actually, before I got into reading Proverbs, somebody from the open mic world, where I sing about Jesus once or twice a week in bars, said to me a couple weeks ago that he always felt that God is a woman, maternal. I didn't correct him at the time. I learned from my time in street activism, which was about truth and against oppression and corruption in high places in business and government, that one does Monsanto send from that kind of thing, and government, that one does not fight the presented fight on the other person's timetable if one is not prepared. There will be another day. So I just looked at Proverbs 1-3, which Laura did such a great job of covering on Friday. It's on the social pages for the church if you missed it. But Solomon there refers to wisdom as Lady Wisdom. So wisdom is regarded in the Bible as female, although it doesn't always play out that way in the world. That's a joke. I mean, I'm making a joke. But the truth is that Jesus says, if you have seen me, you've seen the Father. Even the Lord's Prayer starts off with our Father. Jesus says, I and the Father are the same. We all know this. We all know these quotes. We all know the truth of this. So essentially, God the Father had two children, one could say. One very real and actual and active in our lives, Jesus the Son, and the other metaphorical, which can be seen as the daughter of God the Father, but which is available to us if we reach for it and reach for him. This is pretty rough and not structurally mathematical, if you know what I mean, but now I know where the confusion may have come from, and I found it an interesting expansion for our understandings. Now, woman folly, I don't believe that was any kind of son of God. It's a presentation of God through Solomon to keep us from veering off in the wrong direction with the wrong woman. God forbid. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll see you again tomorrow, where we will be talking about Proverbs 10-12. I bet you didn't see that coming. Anyway, love you all, and hope at least a few of you get to see this. Have a